Sergeant First Class Swartz here with the New York Area National Guard, and welcome to Team Swartz. I have a couple of soldiers here with me. We're going to cover about basic training, things like that. Private Coates here is currently about to finish up. I think you got about a couple weeks left of Army basic training.
2 more weeks.
2 more weeks, and she's going to be moving on to her AIT, which is the Advanced Individual Training for 92 Golf, which is a culinary specialist. Private Saez here is currently in AIT, Advanced Individual Training, learning how to be a 91 Bravo, which is a light wheel vehicle mechanic, both in which who attended our RSP, which is the Recruit Sustainment Program, which is a program designed to make sure that our soldiers who are about to go to basic training are administratively correct, mentally ready, and physically prepared for what's about to happen. So that's what's supposed to happen. It is a paid program, learning the skills and the mindset of what to expect in basic training. Am I right?
Yes, Sergeant.
Okay, so that's basically what's supposed to happen. So how many weekend RSP drills have you done?
I went to about 5, Sergeant, and it was really helpful because when I went to basic training, I was mentally and physically prepared. So with the APFT, I had a better run time, more push-ups. It was more easier for me. And then physically, more mentally, it was more, I'm going to get yelled at a couple times, but I got to get through it because in RSP, I went through it at Camp Smith, which was very helpful for me because what we did with the barracks and all the procedures, it really helped me. So 5 weekends was very helpful for me for basic training. So.
All right, good. So he's talking about Camp Smith is an Army National Guard base here in New York, and the intent behind it is to take our recruits out of their comfort zone here in the New York City area and taking them to a base, putting them in a bay, which is an open room with a series of bunk beds and wall lockers, and putting them in a training environment where we sort of kind of act and give them a taste of what drill sergeants are like. The only downside of that is that as recruiters, being also the cadre, the instructors, it's kind of like mom and dad telling you to do something. It's like, all right, I'll do it when I feel like doing it. So it's kind of like a different twist. But now that you're in training and having drill sergeants and everything, having that, that presence and the drill sergeant hat adds a little more intimidation to it. And so how many RSP drills did you attend?
I attended 4 RSP drills before chipping out.
Okay. So just 4 drills?
Yes.
Okay.
Sarge.
So, do you feel now when you're in the Army Reserve or the Active Army, they do have a future soldier program, and they have usually 1 or 2 NCOs, non-commissioned officers, who are assigned to that position, and they tend to have you come in on a weekly basis to do physical training. And it's not a structured program like the RSP, where we have 3 different phases: red, white, and blue. Red phase is a lot of mandatory classes where we talk about SHARP, which is sexual harassment awareness or reporting procedures or something like that. And then you have suicide prevention. You learn about the history of the Army and the Army National Guard, an introduction to drill and ceremony, which are learning the facing movements, stationary movements, reporting procedures, rendering the salute, learning like the military time, the phonetic alphabet, the soldier's creed, the warrior ethos, the Army song, etc., etc. So basically it's an introduction to the Army. And then you have white phase, which covers a lot of skills that you'll experience in Army basic training, like land navigation, how to read a map, basic first aid, how to clear rooms like infantry, communication skills, things of that nature. Again, a lot of things that you'll experience within basic training, more or less as a familiarization and introduction to what to expect. And my favorite, which is blue phase, which is the phase that you'll actually undergo and go through prior to leaving for basic training, which is anything that you want to know about basic training. We pretty much have a discussion about it. We usually have the soldiers who come back from training, which we refer to as the battle handoff soldiers, who come in and talk about their real-world experiences. Most recent soldiers who come back from training talking about their experiences versus me talking about my experience, which was like 16 years ago. So a lot has changed since then. And with that real-world experience, that Q&A of the updated training scenarios, stuff like that, definitely gives them a good insight to help mentally prepare them for basic training. So with that being said, you agree that RSP definitely helped you, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, being in basic training, do you feel that you can see a major difference between National Guard soldiers who have gone through an RSP versus somebody who's gone through
Major difference.
What are some of those major differences?
Those soldiers, trainees that are active what's going on. They don't have a clue of what to be expected from them. They don't know how many minutes they should be running 2 miles. They don't know how many push-ups. They don't know a thing. And difference of National Guards, reserves, they
I think it was more of the blue. I think it was more of the blue book too. The one that they gave us. It was more like when we knew a good amount of the stuff in there. So it's like when the active Army soldiers would ask us, like, if I knew this, I would know, like the Soldier's Creed. When we didn't know it, we would get smoked for it, of course. But it was more like just everything we learned at drills. It just really helped us a lot compared to the active duty.
It was like, here, this is where you're gonna go to. You already know it. Go, boom. So it was like National Guard soldiers that were there. They already knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
So always National Guard came up on top all the time.
Like, for the most part, would you say that by going through the RSP, it definitely
Prepped us.
prepared you to adjust the drill sergeant as drill sergeant, standing at position parade rest to
Yes.
display and show respect?
Yes.
Especially the first day, Sergeant. The first
Because
day.
they expect you to know it as soon as you get there, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
it was just.
right away.
I was ready at all times. Going to parade rest, talk to the sergeant. So it was like, it wasn't. There was people going to parade rest saying, "Sir."
Sir,
It was
yes.
pretty-
I made that mistake, and don't do it, because I watched Full Metal Jacket before leaving. And if you remember that scene where the drill instructor from the Marine Corps was like, choke yourself
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
to Gomer Pyle. So when he told me to beat my face, I actually legitimately beat my face until I saw a private behind him telling me to do push-ups. And then, so
yes, sir.
I was there for 45 minutes doing push-ups, doing corrective training for referring to him as a sir. So officers are, they earn that right to be called sir or ma'am. And I'm a non-commissioned officer, so I'm a sergeant, or in your case, in training, drill sergeant, right?
Yes, sir.
So there's, subtle differences which you'll learn throughout the RSP program and throughout basic training. Drill sergeants will teach you things, and once they teach you, they then at that point forward hold you accountable. And if
Yes,
you
sir.
don't do what they just taught you, because now you know better, right? And they do corrective training, which you'll do a series of push-ups and sit-ups, right?
Yes, sir.
Or
Yes.
whatever exercise they tell you to do, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now that we've talked about the RSP a little bit, right? What advice would you have now, knowing what you went through the RSP and experience in basic training? What mistakes or wish you had done prior to leaving for basic training? Let's start with you, Coach.
What I wish I knew to run some more. I am not a runner. I am into lifting weights and working out, but definitely not running.
She's a beast. She'll be in the gym all
Definitely
day,
not
all
running.
night, lifting things up and putting them back down, as they say, right? I told her, work on your cardio. Work on your
And
cardio.
I took that for granted. I really did not. I ran a mile, a mile and a half. That was about it. I'm good. 2 miles on a track, it's definitely a killer. I wasn't ready for that.
It's
Definitely not ready.
mentally challenging when you do
Yeah.
the laps more than just run a straight way.
Right. I mean, it's a lot easier on the mind because it's less boring, right?
Yeah.
Running straight out and back or straight through. But one thing I always stress during RSP, and they can attest to it, every time I did PT, almost every time I would tell you, do PT before leaving. Prepare yourself, get yourself to at least a basic level of physical fitness.
Yes, sir.
I wouldn't worry too much about the push-ups and sit-ups, because throughout the 10 weeks of basic training,
You
with all the
will
corrective
end
training,
up
you'll be
doing
doing
it.
a lot of that. So I'm never really concerned about that aspect of it, other than you perfecting your form and technique. But I always stress hitting the streets, because you don't need a fancy gym membership to get some PT in. So run 2 to 3 times a week before going. In the beginning, you're just going to run for a time, 30 to 45 minutes at a comfortable pace. Once you're able to complete that run time without stopping, then you're going to start working on your time and things like that. But yes, doing PT prior to leaving is definitely going to help, because if you make the same mistake you went to the gym before. Did you work out before you left?
I didn't run as much, Sergeant, to be honest with you, because when I first came here, I ran a 23-minute 2 mile, but then I brought it down to a 14 during basic training, so
Okay,
I just
excellent.
got better through there.
Excellent. So you guys would both attest that even at a basic physical fitness level, and if you don't do anything prior to leaving, that in red phase, especially the first week of doing all that the PT, right?
Yes, sir.
the physical training, that it's going to hurt to cough, it's going to hurt to sneeze, it's going to hurt to laugh, right? Because you're going to be super sore. Cause
toss and turn in bed.
it's going to hurt to roll over, right?
Yes, sir.
When you want to get up, climb down your bunk, it's going to hurt you bad.
Exactly. So it's imperative that you do PT before leaving. You don't have to be a superstar, but at least get a basic level of physical fitness prior to leaving, because you'll be in less pain while you're there.
Some people especially active, they go with the mentality, oh, they'll train me, they'll help me. No.
That was me.
Yeah.
No.
I think another tip of like basic training, like when you go in, just be mentally prepared to work with people, because that's one of my mistakes. When I first got there, I was kind of the individual, but then I learned out through the process, like, you're not going to get far without teamwork, because that's what basic training is all about. Just like having battle buddies, fix their beds, help them, clean the bays. If they don't know how to do push-ups, they fail their first PT test, you help them. You just motivate each other and you keep pushing each other too. You get to the finish line, because that's what it's about at the end of the day, regardless if you like them or not. Just try to have a good battle buddy system and try to always be on point with your mind and everything else. That's what I learned in basic training.
Yep, one team, one fight.
That's right. And that's what I stress all the time. Drill sergeants are there to transition you from a civilian into a soldier. And they take their jobs extremely seriously. So when you're in training, when you're doing the push-ups, they tell you attention to detail, teamwork is the key, attention to detail, teamwork is the key. That's an indirect way for the drill sergeants to instill in your mind that, you know what, you should pay attention to the little things. So everything they teach you, they hold you accountable and stuff like that. And if you pay attention, because they're telling you what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, whether you feel like doing it or not, right?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
And you got to be motivated. Even if you're not motivated, you better motivate yourself, because if not, they will motivate you, or you get stronger, right?
Yep.
All right. So teamwork, he brought up teamwork. Private Saez brought up teamwork. And that's extremely important, because, yes, being in the military, just like in sports, if you work as an individual, you're not more than likely going to win that game. So in combat, if you don't work as a team and together and looking out for your battle buddies, no matter what, somebody might not come home, and we don't want that to happen. So leave that individual mentality at home and be a team player. So although, you might not want to assist your team, your battle buddy, because you're tired, because mandatory wake up is at 0500, which is 5 a.m. for you civilians, and 2200, which is 10 o'clock at night. So you have a long day. So definitely help out your battle buddies with their bunks, with their wall lockers, things of that nature. And they also have to give an F to help themselves as well. So you have to articulate your message in a way where I know you're struggling in battle. I got you. I'm going to help you, and let's move forward and work together as a team. And the quicker you guys learn how to work together as a team, the smoother and better training will be. Because if you don't work together as a team and a bunch of individuals, you get pretty strong, right?
Yep,
Yes, sir.
very strong.
Yeah.
So do you have any other advice for a new soldier about to go to basic training?
Just PT,
right?
PT, and learn how to eat fast, or else
I'm glad you brought that up.
5 minutes are up, you're done, you didn't eat nothing on your plate, you're going to be starving for the rest of the day.
So each company has roughly 2 to 4 platoons in a building, right, which is the barracks. And each platoon has roughly 45 to 60 soldiers. So they have to run through chow really, really fast. So you don't have a whole lot of time to eat. And the way the drill sergeants do is, when that last person eats, that drill sergeant looks at that soldier and says, listen here, warrior, when you're done eating, you're going to get up, and everyone's done eating, and get out. And that drill sergeant's going to be on you. And I don't know if it still is this way in training now, but when I went through, we couldn't use a fork or a knife because we don't have time to save the flavor, right?
Yeah,
so you just shovel it in, is what my drill sergeant used to say.
We do get to use a fork or knife, but you just got to check it down.
Yeah.
They'll tell you just put it in your mouth, swallow it, and at the end of the day, when you get out, you just save for the food.
And drink
save
your
for the
liquids.
food, yeah?
Drink your liquids very fast.
Very fast.
Yeah.
So when you're in chow, eat really, really fast.
This is no fancy dinner, no sit inside, no, just chug it down.
My recommendation for you about to go out to training, a week or two, preferably 2 weeks or more prior to leaving, start waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and start going to bed at 10 o'clock.
Definitely.
Wake up, do PT Monday through Friday. Even if it's not like an extraneous strenuous workout, just get accustomed to waking up, doing PT, and then eating breakfast. and then being awake all day and stuff like that, and getting used to eating fast. So like actually time yourself that you eat your food within 5 minutes or less.
Yeah.
So that way you get accustomed to it prior to leaving. Like again, so it's not like a shock to your system.
Go to bed no later than 2100.
Yep. So
Get
in bed
some
by
sleep.
9, and lights out at 10 o'clock and go to sleep.
Get some sleep.
Get sleep.
Get anytime you can sleep. Sleep.
Sleep.
And if you ever fall asleep when you're out in the field or something like that, and a drill sergeant catches you for whatever reason, this won't always work. They won't believe you, but just wake up and be like, "Amen."
Amen.
I wasn't sleeping, drill sergeant. I was praying.
I did that
Oh,
one.
no,
Hard.
everybody would just have to stand up for the rest of the time that we're in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we get
Stand up.
smoked.
So the rule of thumb is if you're tired, just stand up, go to the rear of the room, and pay
Wash your
attention.
face.
Definitely.
Yep. Wash your face. Go to the bathroom.
Smack yourself.
Yeah. If
Wake
you
up.
need to. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Any other advice that you could think of,
Any other advice?
or lessons learned from other privates that didn't prepare themselves?
I learned that you gotta have more patience in life. That's the main key, because not a lot of people learn like you. You know, everybody learns differently, so it was kind of difficult for everybody to pick up the flow. So it was like week 5, and everybody was still on week 2. But
Yeah.
when you get everybody adjusted to it, you know, it goes. We still get smoked, but you know the rhythm goes smoother, and everybody's on check on what they're doing. So it'll be a faster pace. So I think being patient is key.
And look out for one another.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, look out for your battle buddies. And one thing he brought up was having patience. When you go to basic training, you're having everyone from across the country going to one location in training. So you're going to be meshing with different ethnic backgrounds, different cultures, different lifestyles. So there's all kinds of different characters and personalities that you're going to meet, and you're not going to jive with everybody. One thing I want to make certain that you understand is you're not there to make friends, although you will make friends for life, and it's a lot easier now with social media to, follow up with your battle buddies and things of that nature. But you're there to get a job done, which is to get qualified in basic training and move on to your job training and get qualified from there and starting your military career. So for some of you, it'll probably be like, depending on where you live, probably the very first time that you meet a black person or someone from India or some other part of the world. So people have different expectations in how their life is run. So be respectful to that individual and be open-minded to learn about their culture and things of that nature. And for those of you that are going there with a bad attitude, it's up to your battle buddies to try to work things out, right?
Yeah, sorry.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Definitely, sorry.
So have that patience to be empathetic and understand that person, or gain understanding by conversing and talking to them and understanding their background, because what they might deem disrespectful to them might not be disrespectful to you because of the way you were brought up. But that's how you talk and have fun. And like training, like basic training is kind of like a love-hate relationship. The actual training part of it is fun as hell, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I have fun.
But it's to hurry up and wait, and when you're soaking wet, you got sand in between your butt crack or sawdust or charred up rubber, right, from the pit, stuff like that. Those are the annoying moments, but the training aspect of it is amazing.
Definitely.
I mean, you do get enough sleep. It doesn't feel like it, but you do get enough
You get enough
sleep.
sleep to
8
go
hours.
through the
You
day.
eat 3 meals per day,
Okay.
so you're stuffed after your meal.
Yes.
But because you're so physically active and mentally engaged throughout the day that you're burning off so many calories that like an hour later you're hungry again.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
That was me.
So what would you say would be your most memorable moment in basic training?
Most memorable moment was wife ace, because I never shot a weapon before, Sergeant. And just doing that was very fun for me because it came natural to me, just shooting, because I had 37 out of 40. I mean, it's
pretty decent.
Yeah, I was pretty
For
proud
pop-up
of
target,
it.
that's pretty decent.
I was pretty proud of
It's that
myself.
sharpshooter, right?
Definitely, yes.
1 away from expert, right?
I was close.
Close.
I'm gonna get that next time. I'm going 40 for 40 though, Sergeant. To be honest.
Yep.
And the grenades was fun too, Sergeant.
Grenades were
All of
fun.
that,
I
yeah.
love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun. Just buddy team live fire, all those.
I love the
yeah,
buddy team live
That
fire
was really
stuff.
fun. Sergeant.
Yeah, it was fun.
I like that.
Even though I smacked myself with the weapon, but it was fun.
So one embarrassing moment, or not embarrassing moment, one memorable moment for me in basic training is at some point going through those stick lanes, I guess. I don't know if they still call it that. I was doing the back crawl underneath the barbed wire, and it was raining like cats and dogs. I didn't realize how deep the puddle was, but I was using my elbows to stay afloat. And the drill sergeant said, "Why are you doing that, Private?" Puts his foot on my chest and literally stuffs me underneath the water. I felt like 5 minutes. And mind you, it was winter time, so the water was probably like 32 degrees. So yeah, it definitely woke me up. I spit some water out of my mouth, and I just kept it moving. So I was soaked for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So that was my most memorable moment. How about you? Other than the beat your face moment in the beginning.
I'll beat your face. That was funny. We were at Chow, and I accidentally, at Chow, you gotta keep your heels together, by the way. And I just kind of reached for the spoon to grab some salad, and my feet came apart no more than 2 inches. A drill sergeant spotted that. He said, "Oh, so you don't want to keep your heels together? When I'm going to make you keep your heels together." He made me walk around the whole Chow, the decaf, keeping my heels together, saying, "Yes, drill sergeant, I'll keep my heels together. Yes, drill sergeant, I'll keep my heels together." So I had to go around the whole decaf.
Wow.
Just for 2 inches. And I'm like, I didn't know how he caught that, though.
It's gonna be the forward shoe. When you do it at TX3, that's gonna be a memorable moment. I'm telling you.
The forge?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't.
And you're gonna have a love-hate relationship with your drill sergeants, but you gotta
Yes.
understand that
Yes, he will.
drill sergeants are there to train you mentally and physically, right? So you have to trust the process. They're the method to the madness of everything that they tell you to do. So you might not understand the bigger picture of what's going on. So although you might not like the task at hand, there is a bigger picture of what they're preparing you for. There is a rhyme and reason for everything that they make you do. And sometimes they are going to give you tasks that you're going to fail because they want to see how you react. Are you going to work together as a team?
Yes.
Are you going to develop a plan and be resilient and keep pushing and taking care of each other and eventually get the task done? So in the beginning, like first week and a half, you're going to do those team building exercises. That's where the drill sergeant is assessing you to see who's a leader, who's a follower, and how well you guys jive and work together as a team, because collectively we all can get a task done. So just because you're in a leadership position doesn't mean that you know everything, right? So sometimes the lowest ranking individual, someone that you would least expect it, has a really good idea. So for an example, there was a tractor trailer underneath an overpass and got stuck because they weren't supposed to be there. They were too high. So everyone thought of all these crazy ideas and how to get this tractor trailer out, and it took a 5-year-old to say, "Why don't you just let the air out of the tires of the truck and then pull it out?" Problem solved. A 5-year-old.
Wow.
So just because you think you know everything doesn't mean that you know everything. Sometimes someone has a really, really good idea.
Yes,
so work together as a team and communicate and talk to each other.
Most important. That's the most important.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly. So teamwork, attention to detail, be on time, be in the correct uniform, respect the drill sergeant, trust the process, do what you're told, and be motivated.
Definitely, Sarge.
Right?
That's all.
Overall, that's pretty much everything in a nutshell.
Yes, Sarge.
Cool.
All right. So that pretty much. Do you have anything else that you want to say to anyone interested in joining or about to leave for basic training?
Be motivated.
Yes, be motivated. Be focused. Remember why you're doing it. Remember where you started. Don't give up.
Definitely.
Don't ever leave your battle buddy. Don't ever walk around without a battle buddy. And
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Keep going.
Don't ever give up. Always remember your why, because you're going to have that moment when you're in training where
You're gonna want to give up.
yeah, there's going to be that moment where you're going to want to give up, and you're going to have to remember and stay resilient to remember your why you joined. Everyone joins for their own reason, and you have to keep that in the forefront of your mind, because sometimes that's what's going to keep you motivated to drive on. And you also have to keep and understand that it's a training environment. So yeah, it sucks being yelled at, waking up early, being told to do things when you don't feel like doing it. But that's
Getting in trouble for others.
and you're gonna get in trouble for others, and it sucks
man.
because one team, one dream. So base training is all on the team concept. So if one person messes up, we all pay for it, because you know what? You're their battle buddy, and you should have helped out that battle buddy instead of having an individual mindset. So stay resilient, remember your why, and just do your best. And when you're finished with training, essentially being in the military, I mean, you guys don't know yet, but eventually when you get there, you're in AIT. It's basically a 9-to-5 job with mandatory PT in the morning, right? You're, for the most part, off on the evenings and on the weekends, unless the cadre or drill sergeants have you doing something else. Not so much in basic training, but it's a training environment. So understand that, yes, it's uncomfortable now, all that screaming and yelling, but that's not going to happen as much or at all when you move on to a unit. Now, if you're in infantry, it's a whole different culture. So yeah, anyway, you'll see. But it's regular job with this uniform. So I implore you to do your research prior to leaving. Ask questions, comment below, do subscribe, share, and tag your bod buddies. Cool?
Oh.
All right. Team Swartz out.